Hey, it's Uncle Joe Hikes. We're here at the base of Brasstown Bald. We're going to take the Jackson Knob Trail on the other side of the road out to Chattahoochee Gap, which is the gap at the AT right above the spring that feeds Chattahoochee River. So not a long hike, but thought we'd go out there and get a little mileage in. So we had a little bit of a climb getting up here, and now we're kind of planed off on a side slope. Sun's trying to come out. It was very cloudy once I got up into the mountains, which is weird because there wasn't a cloud in the sky at the house. But I don't think it was very long ago before there was a low-hanging fog up here. So temps are mild, which is nice. Well, we're entering the Mark Trail Wilderness, Chattahoochee National Forest. Very humid, not hot, but definitely humid. Ground's relatively moist, probably from the dew. It may have rained last night. We got some rain back home too, so you can see that big acorn. We know from following the Bear Hunters page online that the acorns are pretty full right now. One hunter expressed or commented that he was looking at some scouting some location and saw a bear up in a tree. So we'll keep our ears open. If we hear some acorns dropping, we might get to see a bear while we're out here. Well, maybe. Well, we got some water trickling. It's been pretty dry the last couple of weeks, so the recent rains have brought some moisture, which is good. So it's Labor Day, so a lot of people are probably hiking today. I just passed 2 people, which is a little surprising, but this trail's beat out pretty good. So it's seeing its fair share of hikers. A lot of people like to hike down and see the spring that the Chattahoochee starts from, so it's kind of a draw, I'm sure. It's a steep little incline down there to it, so you gotta climb up and out of that before you head back. Well, and there's a little cleared area for camping and whatnot. It's kind of cool. Well, here's our first bona fide switch back here. It pitches up pretty steep right here. Up, up, up. This thing is huge. You could see the width of the trail there. Try to get by him without disturbing him. Well, it's Labor Day, and some of these plants are wasting no time in turning their leaves. I saw some yellow trees coming in. Seems a little soon, don't it? But time marches on. That's what Metallica says. Well, we've come to a bit of a saddle here, and there's a breeze just cooking right across it. It feels so good. Like I say, it's not terribly hot, but you build up a sweat. Man, this feels good. Really nice. I'll take it. So we see oak branches here on the ground. I'd have to say there's a good chance a bear was up there at some point in the last day or so. This climb has been a bit of a slog, but it planes out about halfway up, and the grade isn't so bad. Just a little long. Trees that died here. So I think this is Eagle Summit. So made it to the top of that. Something been rooting right there. continuing to make our way. We'll skirt Jack's Knob and then intersect with the AT here in a bit. All right, we're side sloping Jack's Knob here. Make our way around to the back before we descend down to the AT. Can't see anything out to our right, but imagine in the winter time you get a view. Probably see Brasstown Bald up there, out there somewhere. Well, we're getting a little bit of a peek. The mountains out there. So we keep moving on this side slope here. Got a big crag here, big rock. Got a little rocky on that side slope. It's very steep over here to my right. But we're still moving on. We should come out on top of this and start down like a tongue. The tongue of the ridge here in a bit. Alright, we made it out here to the tongue. Looks like somebody has weed-eated this in the not too distant past. We also see a lot of it turned up. Probably been some hogs. This should take us right down to the AT. It's going to come out there at the gap, right where I hammock camped when I did the section from Hog Pen to Unicoi. Camped there with a couple of guys. Oh wow, look at this. Lots of shrooms. Anyway, onward. Alright, made it down here to the gap. We got a hiker down here taking a break. Probably take one ourselves.
How you doing?
Good, how are you doing?
I'm doing alright.
Well, right here is where I hammock camped when I was here. And I just met a fellow Jansen. He's heading over to Unicoi. And here's our little trail down to Chattahoochee Spring. Of course, this goes back to Hog Pen. Alright, and that's going to take us back Jack's Gap Trail. I called it Jack's Knob Trail, but I think it can go by either one. Jack's Knob proper probably goes up to Brasstown, but we're going to make our way down here to the Chattahoochee Spring. I hear this is really steep. We fit to find out. We just did a dog leg there. I've been told this is very steep. When I was here before and we camped there at the gap, the guys that I camped with, 2 or 3 guys, they had some collapsible jugs and they filled them before we got to that gap because they said the hike down to this spring wasn't worth going to. I think they may have mentioned too that it might not be flowing the best, and I'm sure if that was the case you wouldn't want to come all the way down here to get water only to find it. You ain't getting no water. But anyway, we're going to make our way down here because this spring is the start of the great Chattahoochee River. So we've come to a little alcove here of a spring. Oh no. I don't know if this is the spring proper. The trail's taking us on down, so we're going to go down and see where it takes us. So it kind of makes some sense. The dry area we saw up there where the water basically had dried up gives way to this spring here. I'm sure that runs a little bit in wet weather, but it wasn't running now, so this must be the spring proper, and we can see it's running pretty good. So this would be where you'd want to go if you needed water. But it's hard to believe this starts the mighty Chattahoochee as it makes its way all the way to the Gulf of Mexico, running through Helen where all the tubers get on it, and then down through Atlanta, through the northern suburbs, just not far from my house where it fills up Lake Lanier, runs through the dam and works its way south. Picks up a lot of friends along the way, of course. Yeah, lots of songs. Alan Jackson, Driving and Crying. People written songs about the Chattahoochee. But now we got to climb back up to the gap. We came, we saw. Now we got to go back. So last time I was here, I hammocked right here. And like I said, I camped with a few guys from Alabama. They got up next morning and left me with some water, which was cool. And that kept me from going down to that spring, though. Now that I've been down there, it's really not that bad. But anyway, my daughter and her fiance were going to meet me here, but they got lost. And so I ended up texting them and meeting them at Unicoi, and I hiked on out. And that was a good slog. I mean, you know, it's 14 miles. I broke it up as an overnighter. The guy we saw just a minute ago, he started this morning. He's doing the whole 14. So it's about 4.5 miles from here, I think, to Unicoi. He said he hadn't seen any bears or anything, but this is a section of the woods that has a good bit. I mean, this between here and Helen, and down below the spring on down the ridge is a National Forest campground. A buddy of mine and his friend were camping there one time. My buddy Barry, who's sadly just passed away recently. Him and Chris the cook, were camping down there, and a bear came into their campsite and just decided he wanted what they had. They were trying to shoo him out of there, and wound up throwing a piece of fish to him, hoping he would just take off with the fish. And he said, you know, I think I'm gonna eat it right here. So they crawled up into their pickup topper. I think they were in a topper, and spent the night. And they said the next morning that bear was crashed out under a picnic table. So they are in this area, and no doubt frequent that campground. So, but yeah, we haven't seen any. In fact, when the first bear I ever saw on the trail, I saw down this section here between here and Unicoi. So, and another guy hiking behind me saw one on this section. So they're out in this area. So, you know, if you'll come out here on a weekday and you're quiet, you might get to see one. There's a lot of people on the trail, I think, today. He mentioned that, and I passed a couple on Jack's Knob / Jack's Gap trail here. So, you know, Labor Day weekend, there are people out stretching their legs. Yeah, we're going to finish up our break here and start making our way back to Gobi. All right, time to head back. Jack's Gap Trail. And right here, Jack's Knob Trail. Potato patata. So sassafras there. We made it up to Eagle Knob Summit. There's some more on its way out. This knob's got a bit of a false summit coming and going. But we made it up here. Now we're head down the other side. Well, we're back to where all those little oak branches were pulled off. I don't know. You say, Dylan, I think maybe there's a bear up in that tree at some point in the last couple of days. We keep working our way off that summit. Nice relief from the climbing. Sun's coming in and out. When it's out, it's kind of hot, to be honest with you. So I don't want it to rain, but shade is kind of nice. Now there's our big shroom. Man, that thing is big. It's probably, well, you can see my feet. It's just below my knee. It's probably 12 inches by probably 13 by 12. Something like that. Get down here to our switch back. We're getting closer. I'm starting to slide on some of this moist ground. I slid on a rock back there. Was a flat rock. Both feet slid and then landed right below it, and I didn't fall. That was quite fortuitous. There's a flurry of activity of birds. Got some woodpeckers pecking, and then we got these others just fluttering about. I took a break here. Get rid of some liquid. Sit for a second. I'm sweating so much, it's kind of strange. Temps are low. It sure is humid. Anyway, we're not far from the trailhead, and old Gobi will be there shortly, so we're gonna get rolling. Another kiosk warning us about bears. Safety tips. You can see the triangle here, and the road goes up to Brasstown. You got somebody coming down it right there. Highest point in Georgia. Jack's Knob Trail goes across here and heads up that way. That might be a good fall hike. I've done it before. Go up there when it's a little cold, because you're going to build up some heat climbing up there. Well, there's old Gobi, waiting patiently. Hopefully nobody broke in and got my habit trail. I don't have any hamsters, but we could hike into Blue Mountain Shelter and get us a couple of mice. Well, Jack's Knob to Chattahoochee Gap on the Appalachian Trail and down to the Chattahoochee Spring, the start of the Chattahoochee River. Done. I want to say it's about 4.5 miles, maybe round trip. We add a little bit going down to the spring, but I'll put the details below. Good little hike. Very humid today. Temps were beautiful, but man, it was so humid. I've lost a lot of water. My hat's even drooping a little bit. But yeah, let's get out of here. Get something to eat.